Her Excellency Dyah Roro Esti Putri, Vice Minister of Trade Indonesia, Yang Berhormat Datuk Hajah Hanifah Hajatai, the Deputy Minister of Economy Malaysia, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Hairil Yahri Yaakob, the Secretary General of Investment, Trade and Industry, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datin Paduka Siti Sadiah binti Sheikh Bakir, Founder and Non-Executive Chairman Women Leadership Foundation, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Hafsah Hashim, Chairman AWES 2025 Organising Committee, Founder and Chairman WNF, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Hazim Azzanuddin, Founder and Vice Chairman WNF, Yang Berbahagia Datuk Zunaida Idris, Founder and Vice Chairman WNF, and of course Yang Berusaha, Ms. Wei Wei, the Chief Executive Officer of UOB Malaysia, members of the diplomatic corps and representatives of ASEAN missions in Malaysia, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. The Global Power Hour is upon us. Ministers from Cambodia, Indonesia and Malaysia will explore game-changing cross-border collaboration. This session is titled Women Pioneering Change Across Continents. Interesting, in terms of economic participation, about 56% of women in ASEAN are active in the labour force. However, representation in leadership positions remain limited, with women holding only 32.8% of managerial roles and 21.2% of national parliamentary seats. These figures highlight the ongoing challenges and opportunities in advancing gender equality and women empowerment in the region. Now, this session will be moderated by our very own YB Senator Tengku Zafrul. And in his opening remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to remind you, he did recognize that he was outnumbered in this room. Now, it is interesting that within the scope of this conversation, between YB Senator and his panelists, who are themselves very capable ministers from their own countries, they will most likely address some of the challenges above, and once again, our YB is going to be outnumbered on stage this time. Now, I implore our esteemed panelists to feel free to turn the table around and ask our minister, your moderator, those questions themselves. It is, I have to note, the national sport of the average Malaysian to watch our ministers mildly squirm, I think. So, without further ado, a session that we've all been waiting for. Put your hands together for our moderator, YB Senator Tengku Zafrul.
Alright, thank you very much. Terima kasih pengacara majlis. I'm not so familiar with the procedure, but apparently I'm supposed to invite the three ladies up. Not sure who I should invite first. One of the other two will get sensitive.
I think, if I may suggest, perhaps you want to go from left to right on the screen behind you. That's probably safest.
That was the plan, Yes. In alphabetical order. Yeah, not in any other order. We'll invite His Excellency Dyah Roro first to onto the stage. After him, okay. And now I'd like to invite His Excellency Cham, Nimul, Minister of Commerce for Cambodia. Thank you, Your Excellency. And last but not least, I'd like to invite Ms. Wei Wei, the Chief Executive Officer of UOB. Okay, first of all, thank you everyone for still being here. I know you had a good sessions this morning, and now this is a very important session, which gives me an opportunity to grill 3 women at one time within an hour, and they cannot respond. Because if they respond wrongly, I'll ask more difficult questions. Okay, so I've been asked to give a brief introduction about our 3 ladies here, but I'm sure in the program you've already read about their CV, their impressive bio, what they do, and the successful endeavors of all. So instead of reading out their bio, I will tell you what is not in the bio. Don't worry, I won't tell everything. So the first is Excellency Cham Nimul. She's of course my counterpart. We had a long session this morning. She leads Cambodia's digital trade reform and export diversification efforts, always working to promote and expand Cambodia's trade footprint in the Middle East and China, and we had a very productive discussion on this this morning. She also been featured in Prestige magazine, right? And as a beacon of strength. She's known for balancing authority with empathy and earning respect through merit, professionalism, and national interest. So she's not someone unknown to the region, but there's something that maybe not many know. I just found out as well. She enjoys crafting and making things by hand. She has yarns, embroidery, and quilting machine, a leather cutting machine, and even a 3D printer. So that's about our Excellency Cham Nimul. And then the top 3 interesting facts about Dyah Roro. First of all, I think the Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk already wished her happy birthday. So happy birthday to Dyah Roro. She turned 25 today. 25. No, oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. She says 24, sorry. So for Dyah Roro, she's a strong advocate of supporting Indonesia's local fashion industry. You can see from the dress code today. And regularly posts her fully local outfits on her social media. And she's actually a sportswoman and enjoys playing tennis and also running, right? And she's also the recipient of the Alpha Under 40 Award issued by High End Magazine. And for those of you who attended our ASEAN Economic Ministers retreat or have heard, there's a video that's gone viral. She's a good singer, so she sang and captivated the audience. So maybe as a punishment for coming on her birthday, we'll ask her to sing later. And last but not least, about Wei Wei, I think she's, everyone in Malaysia knows who she is. She's the she's the highest female bank CEO highest paid female CEO bank in Malaysia. So she's definitely, of course she's the only female bank CEO in Malaysia. And she has actually conquered Southeast Asia's tallest mountain, Mount Kinabalu, sorry. But she cannot ride a bicycle. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Okay, because she said her husband didn't teach her. Okay. She was also honored with the 2024 Prestige Women Power Award. Wow. Yeah. So we have 3 very powerful and successful women on stage, and I've been given the opportunity to moderate, and I think we hope to learn as much as possible from them. And if possible, I'll start off with a question to the Excellency Cham Nimul, a bit more serious question first before we go to some personal questions. Let's try and break the ice. So, Your Excellency, Cambodia's economic growth has been remarkable, and we've seen that across the last decade, and particularly in areas where supporting SMEs, in agriculture, in the garment industry. What strategies, especially targeted strategies, is Cambodia implementing to empower women entrepreneurs in these vital industries?
Thank you, Your Excellencies, and thank you. Allow me, just because I take the floor on the first time, truly humbled to be in the presence of two very powerful ladies, and those who are on the floor here with us, so very much appreciate the opportunity and happy and honored to be invited as well. I've shared that I usually do my work mostly in the WTO or in Cambodia, but not yet in the regional outreach, so today is one of my first, so very, very much honored and very humbled. Thank you. In response to Your Excellency's questions, key economic sectors such as garments industry, which employ over 1 million women in Cambodia, is the greatest multiplying effects you are ever going to see anywhere else in the world. It's the very reason why I brought that out is that most of the women were originated from rural areas, and with this, their salary were able to support 4 or 5 more members in the family. That afforded their siblings for education, affording their mother and fathers to be able to own houses or even own lands now. So these are the very great things that we believe in the economic sectors, and that allowed me to dive in deeper on the what are we doing to actually help women's entrepreneurship in that aspect. One is, of course, key is their healthcare. We have to start out with, if we're not healthy, we are not strong, then no matter how capable, we're not going to thrive anywhere. So working environments are key components. So women, if they are pregnant during work hours, the time they are allowed to leave half an hour before everyone else. That's number one. Second is that the post-deliveries, up from the delivery all the way to 2 years old of the child, of the infant, it's being covered by the government for healthcare. So from everything from vaccination, from monthly medical treatments, all covered. And that's to ensure that from birth to from inception, children are being taken care of. And women as well, of course, in post-delivery, it's very important that when they return to their work, they can return to work in full strength and in full support. The next thing is, of course, being a women's all across. Is we need to be able to say after the child has come, able to attend school, then what's next for the ladies? That will be, education into simple thing as, families support, families management, and those are keys. The very little things like that. The reason why I brought all those out is that we cannot go on forward and be able to do our work if our household is first not healthy, 2. We don't have the proper time to manage, and that mismanagement will not be able to allow us to concentrate on whatever task at hand. And so, to me, it's a very strategy that we push forward, that they have to be able to, when they go to work, they can commit 100% at work, because they don't have to sit back and worry about what happened at home. That's very key to everything else for us. So I wanted to be able to share that aspect of healthcare. And of course, the second one is on education itself. We do it widely into vocational trainings and promoting whether it's very flexible hours, whether it's weekend, whether it's anything at all, just to ensure that whatever you wish to learn, the government actually will pay a salary for them to learn. That are some of the very key things that we push forward in all across the sector that His Excellency mentioned earlier, from whether it's government, whether it's agriculture, whether it's any SMEs. And if I may focus a little bit more on SMEs, the biggest things that I focus on a lot from my ministry aspect, from my purview, is on the access to credits. But access to credits is just one step. You can get money, but what are you doing with the money? Are we managing it right? So the very basic things such as accounting, bookkeeping, are very core to our businesses. And that's the very thing that we actually push a lot of the policies, so that particular outreach on programs like that are wide and vast. From the ministry, from private partnership with developing partners, with a lot of private sectors, a lot of mentorship programs that we push forward. I probably overtime myself a bit, but just would love to share that are some of the key components that we start out the grassroots that levels that ways. And I believe that's what builds a strong, and healthy foundation to the rest of the economic activity that entails. Thank you, Excellency.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Excellency, Mr. Cham. And now we go to the Vice Minister, Dyah Roro. We talked about net zero and sustainability, and many countries have their targets for achieving net zero. Some by 2050, I think Indonesia by 2060, right? And what role, in this case, when you talk about green agenda, what roles are women playing in Indonesia toward pushing towards this green economy, especially in sectors like renewable energy and the circular economy?
Firstly, thank you very much, Honorable Minister Zafrul. It's so lovely to be here, and I'm so grateful to be amongst such incredible women. I think when women empower each other, we become a strong force. And to everybody here in the room, I hope today presents itself as a day to celebrate ourselves and how much we have come so far. Thank you for your question. So when we talk about the net zero emissions target, Indonesia has set a target of achieving net zero emissions by 2060. We have also ratified the Paris Agreement, in which we want to decrease our greenhouse gas emissions by around 32% in 2030. And we recognize that somehow a majority, so around 30%, really of the emissions come from the energy sector. So before my role as Vice Minister of Trade, I was also a member of Parliament, and I was a member of Commission 7, which deals with the energy sector, and we are working very hard to push forward a bill which is called the New and Renewable Energy Bill. So I hope that the parliamentarians this term can ratify and finish up what has been discussed previously, all with the goal of really just creating that sustainable future for Indonesia. When we speak of green sustainable growth generally, President Prabowo this term is very, very focused on how Indonesia can not only improve, but be able to achieve its targets of being one of the largest economies by 2045, so optimizing on our demographic dividends, where around 68% of our population, so a majority, are of the productive age, between the ages of 16 and 65. And we recognize within his cabinet that yes, we have this trajectory of being able to become one of the largest economies, but also how can we do this in a way where we put forward and put a lot of emphasis in improving the quality of life and social welfare. That's why President Prabowo is very, very adamant in trying to increase the quality of the human capital, so sumber daya manusia. We have a lot of focus on that aspect, whether it be the healthcare, education, as well as work opportunities. But also, and this is something very important, the environmental aspect, because without nurturing and taking care of the environment, it is very difficult for us to achieve both aspects, that of the economic growth and also social welfare. So all three components plays a very vital role in Indonesia's development going forward. But with regards to women, right, women participation is very important. When we look at the small medium enterprises, which is one of our biggest focuses within the Ministry of Trade also, is that we recognize that UMKM, or small medium enterprises, contributes around 60% of our GDP, can you imagine? So this is quite a large amount. And when we look back into the statistics, it turns out that 65% of SMEs are run by women. So we recognize that women play an incredible role, starting from the micro level to the medium level to the top level, right? Where Indonesian women communities would gather around, they would create something that would be of value, whether it be in the village level or in the city level, national level, or even abroad. So what we're trying to promote is how the local SMEs can be exported outside of Indonesia. But all in all, we recognize that women play a role. And when we look at the types of businesses that they get involved in, some of them create meaning in what we would value as waste. So upcycling, recycling certain products for that to be then become a new product that can be fed back into the economic system. So for example, we have, clothes made of recycled material, or even bags made out of recycled material. And we see designs that are we see very simple designs, but then we see very advanced designs. And so having this kind of innovation and seeing that women play a vital role in this space is very, very important for us to recognize. And again, coming into the point of women empowerment, the more we empower women, the more women are able to contribute to the economy, and the more the economy can prosper in the years to come as well.
Thank you, Excellency. Roro. So we've heard from Excellency Cham and also Roro, two very good answers. So no pressure, Wei Wei. I've got also a serious question. This is regarding, as your background as a very successful professional, you've done a lot to be where you are today and helped many women entrepreneurs, women businesses. But I'd like to slant towards asking about digitalization, about OIR, about AI. How can women leadership reshape the global economic landscape in light of the fast, rapid changes in technological advancement in digitalization? And also, we touch on sustainability to some extent.
Thank you very much, YB Senator, for the question. I think first of all, thank you for this opportunity to sit on this panel of like-minded women and male allies. When I was listening to what Minister and Vice Minister were sharing, frankly, it is what you are doing in your own country to champion. It's exactly what we are also experiencing in Malaysia, whether you're in the government or the private sector, like where I am. The issues and challenges and priorities are the same. That's why I think this outreach is fantastic. And frankly, Minister, I totally agree. The home must be in order. That's what I always tell my colleagues. Make sure the home is right, then you can bring your best to work. That is absolutely fantastic. And really, sustainability, green and SMEs, I think this is what we are experiencing here in Malaysia. So to answer YB Senator's question, I think one of the beautiful part of my job, it allows me to be purpose-driven as a leader. Frankly, whether you're a male or female, I feel wherever you are planted, if you believe in what you're doing, even if I'm in the private sector, I can contribute to help. So what am I talking about? Malaysia, SMEs, just like your countries, are the backbone. They need help. For the women entrepreneurs, yes, the barriers that they face, I'm sure the businessmen face as well, but maybe women have to work a little bit harder for many different domestic and cultural factors that probably put them where they are at the stage of their business journey. So naturally, what am I talking about? Barriers like financing, access to financing, access to knowledge, how to scale a business, access to digital tools, how to navigate a digital economy. I think this is where banks, financial institutions can really play a role and partner the public sector. We are able to provide access to all these matters that I've just talked about. Digital tools, I think YB, you asked for on AI. You need AI to increase productivity, to expand your business. You can't ignore. Everybody knows that. But how do you get started? So what we have done in UOB, just as an example, I'm sure that countless institutions out there will do the same. 4 years ago, we put in place a FinLab program to help SMEs to start up their entrepreneurship. And in recent years, we started to focus on women entrepreneurs. Across Malaysia and Singapore, we have helped over 1,200 women entrepreneurs to help them learn digital tools and skills, how to navigate the economy, grow their business, and more importantly, We have built an ecosystem to help them expand their network. Women also need help to grow their network. And that's where banks come into play, YB. I mean, you're an ex-banker, you know what I'm talking about. Banks, financial institutions should be opening up doors to connect businesses to opportunities. And today we're talking about ASEAN. As an ASEAN bank, clearly we can connect those opportunities. So I feel lending money is probably the easy part, but really building that network of ecosystem partners that can help women entrepreneurs get on board the journey, learn from each other, and in the process, build the kind of network that they need to grow their business. I'll probably leave it as that for now. Is that okay, YB?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you my views later. Okay, so we've heard about the economic transformation from all of you. I got one question which I'm going to ask all three of you to answer, so I want to be fair this time. This is all about navigating tradition as well as modernization. So, in all of you, in your leadership capacity, what strategies have you found effective in balancing the cultural heritage, the ASEAN culture, each country will have their own culture, with transformative leadership? How do you balance that, and how do you, in your real life, where and how difficult is it to balance? Maybe I can start with you, Excellency Cham.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. Balancing the cultural and the society's barriers to many things, to gender's assets. There's one thing that I know how to navigate and that I may be able to share on personal levels, and that's just start with respect. Respect yourself, respect the next person. As that, what it is. Thank you. Because I find that when you're being honest and being respectful of your thoughts, of your actions, and reflects that, be able to communicate that, articulate that to the next person, and the next person will feel the sincerity and be able to bounce that back. And that allows a lot of understanding to happen. It's very difficult, and I may share as well. My husband is a military guy, and he's a three-star general. So, do you think it was easy to be able to walk side by side with me and just say, "Oh, your wife is the minister"? I'm sure His Excellency understood that feeling. Somewhere you will understand. But it is a very delicate line. Being, because in a family, you're in a society, you always assume that man is the breadwinner, right? The head of the family, the one who brings incomes, and therefore, we're not saying we have different, our income is not very much different. His payment, his salary and mine are not that very different, but in numbers wise, but the idea is in the respect with each other, and that's how we coexist harmoniously. To be able to say, I understand your schedule, and you understand my schedule, you understand my commitment, and you understand my commitment, and where will we work all of that for the benefit of our children, because they do need us. We can't be an absent parents. So how do we do that? And that's the very same thing. I think going through that very same respect of families, it goes beyond that into elder generation. The very same thing. The first thing I realized that I can work and communicate well is to show my respect and sincerities. And as a woman, that is the soft power that we have. Just coming up here and told Her Excellencies that, you see, women, we band together very well. We always go, you go girls, I'm right behind you and we truly support. Do you see men do that?
Can I say something else? Okay. To all the men, relax. We are allies today. Okay.
Sorry. But very much, so cultural is always going to be there, but there are a few things that I help to share with the new generations. You know, who's coming out of school and they decide what they to do, and they said, oh, I can't dream of being this because that's mostly men jobs, or my father, my mother would say, no, I'm not suited for it, you know, physically wise, emotionally wise, or, you know, intelligence wise, or whatever it is, you know, there was a barrier to certain dreams. And my own advice into it is that you go for it. And you do it, we don't regret it. That's the one big thing that I always put up in front of me first. I have to be in peace with myself to say that, you know, I'm going forward with that decision. I will not regret it no matter what's the outcome. And that's the only way we're going to make it through, whether we fail at it or we succeed, and be able to show that, you know, back to the societies. That's why we broke that respect. You know, so my conclusion right back to it, show respect. That's how we are able to, intergenerationally, culturally speaking, be able to communicate, to be able to live happy together and work together. You know, it's sometimes it's very difficult to earn that respect. Respect is earned. It's not something you're given. It's not something on day one walking in the room and people just, here's your credit for respect. You know, it's not going to work out that way. So you have to do so much more. So, but it has to show with showing respect to yourself, respect to others, and they will respect you back. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency Cham. Same question as well to Dyah Roro, about navigating tradition and modernization. Your Excellency, please.
Right, thank you very much. Wow, that was very wonderful, and I think I can attest to a lot of the things that you mentioned earlier, and really that spoke from the heart, and we felt that. And I think balancing the cultural aspect, right, is also about how we can lead with empathy and be present with empathy, but also offer flexibility. So I'll explain a little bit about what I mean. When we speak about empathy, we're able to position ourselves in the shoes of the other, right? So understanding what certain things means for the people around us. And once we lead with empathy, we lead with the heart. And that is always very meaningful. But when in a more personal setting, I think women have to balance many roles. So some of us are already married, that means the role of being a wife. Some of us have children, so the role of being a mother. And even the role of being a daughter, as well as the role of being either minister or vice minister or the CEO, right? So there is multiple roles that women have and need to play. And this flexibility is oftentimes needed on a daily basis. And one thing that I learned, and perhaps I can share this also, is learning how to put on one hat and taking it off in different situations. So I would present myself differently in a social context, in a personal context, and I will present myself differently as well in front of my family, in front of my friends, in front of my spouse, in front of the people that I know. And understanding that as a woman, we don't always have to be and position ourselves professionally everywhere we go. We are allowed to take off certain hats and be present within the different contributions that we make in the different settings that we have in our lives. And understanding when to take off these hats is where empathy lies, right? And this I find to help me navigate my way towards the different roles that I have in my life. And in that way, I feel less of a burden, and I enjoy the process of becoming the different roles that I carry, right? And so I think that in itself is also very important. And as a woman, again, we spoke about a spouse, right? So maybe this is a session for us to share innately how we really feel. But all in all, end of the day, men like to feel needed, right? And that is okay. and really, that is okay, right? And as a woman, we also oftentimes want to be protected. That is also okay, right? And I think as a woman, as a wife, understanding the different roles, sometimes we can be there supporting our spouse to become the best versions of themselves. So this is when I talk about the hat. You take off the hat of the professional, but you put on the hat of the wife, right? And be there personally, be there emotionally for the support of the husband in whatever career endeavor that they are going through. And then in a different case, you put on the hat of being the professional, and perhaps that is when the role of our spouse becomes the supporter. So being either of those positions, supporting one another, being there for one another, and perhaps leading in some aspects of our lives, and having that understanding. And lastly, and one of the most important things you mentioned also, in terms of respect, having respect for ourselves and for our spouses and for the people around us, this is what grounds us. And it's a learning process. And one thing I'd like to end, Honorable Minister, is that end of the day, life is not perfect, right? And it's okay to face certain turbulences. And you know, culture also plays a role in this, navigating our way around the norms in which societies create. But at the end of the day, I think in order for us to enjoy, is that we need to make the most of the process and the progress and enjoy the everyday that we have, because the little things in life will end up becoming the big things, right? And so having that in mind makes life a lot easier to navigate around, again, through the cultural barriers and many other aspects as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Esti. Yes, Wei Wei.
I really like that question. Traveling, how do you balance tradition versus modernization? Which is a very deep question. Something that really resonates very deeply with me, because throughout my career as a banker, I've worked with different global institutions. And today, I'm running an Asian bank, the largest foreign bank in the country. And it really caused me to really think, in my job as a CEO of UOB in Malaysia, how do I infuse the best of tradition, my Asian culture, versus propelling the bank forward? You know, prior to this role, I'm now moving to my 4th year. All this while, Wei Wei, me, I'm very proud of my Asian culture. My parents have taught me and my sisters to embrace good value system. You want to be successful, you have to work hard and must have a purpose in life. But I can tell you, it was only until this job that it really challenges me as the new generation, next generation leader, caught in between wanting progress, bring progress for the organization, yet making sure I hold on to what made UOB great as an institution in ASEAN for the last 90 years. It is heavy responsibility. My aha moment was 3 years ago when UOB said we will buy Citibank's consumer banking business. Immediately, I inherited 1,200 fantastic Citi consumer employees who came from a global bank. I had many questions asking, you are an Asian bank. We've worked with a great global bank. How are you going to fit us in? I really had to dig deep. How do I do this? I can tell you, there's nothing wrong in going back to your roots and being old-fashioned sometimes. I am very proud of the Asian heritage I have. And to me, this is the route that guides us for taking bold, forward-looking decisions to propel forward. And I feel tradition and progress are not in conflict. If you harmonize them properly, understand what you're trying to do, your roots will bring you forward as you embrace new ideas. So I find this has been, the compass has been shaping who I am as a leader. I made mistakes, don't get me wrong. I made many mistakes also. But it's about bouncing back, how to get it right, you know. So I think there is room, Wai, for culture, for tradition, and progress and modernization. We just got to be practical and do it with the best of intention and move that intention into right action.
Thank you. I think that's Let's give another round of applause. I think they've spoken from the heart. Good. Thank you for sharing your experience, and I think my next role, I want to moderate the 3 husbands and see whether the yeah. Can someone organize that, please? And we'll make sure we have the same audience as well. Okay, so we've heard, and really this is a good sharing session, so I'm going to go deeper into asking you about your personal experience, your personal view, and the many young leaders here in this room. And if possible, you can share with them and share with us, not the so young ones as well. What advice would you give to the next generation of women leaders rising in this increasingly complex global landscape? So, Your Excellency Cham, again, you have to start.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, for putting that to my end. This is some things that I could respond in the most recent, I wouldn't even say 2 years yet, because our term, our government term, the new mandate has only just started about 20 months. So I've only been in the ministers' chairs for just 20 months. Prior to that, I was the Secretary of State. But in that short 20 months, the last 24 years of experience can't even compare. And the reason is that I find that the one things that I could advise, no matter it's a younger person who's just coming out of college looking for a job, or a young woman who's already in the job and looking to advance her career, or whether a mid mid-careers person looking to advance further, those who are about to retire, and those who post that. There's one thing that I find that very, very difficult to do, but it's the very thing that required, and that is know your battleground. I walk into the ministerhood knowing my battleground. I know what I'm to be expected of. I know what public opinions of me will be. I know what private opinion of me will be. I know who's will be what and what. I know what battleground I will fight. The first battle, I can actually share that as well openly. I said that it's not very, very fair, because in the new term, there are new ministers, just like myself, they are males. They're coming in, and I assess it that they have only 3 battlefronts, whereas I have 4 battlefronts. And I said, but what are those? Well, one is, of course, your first battlefront is your own institution. That's your own house, your own second house. You have to make sure it's in order. The very same thing as our own personal home have to be in order. So coming in, meaning that, institutional developments, harmonization, the process, the administrations, everything that goes into it to make sure that house is functioning. That's the first battleground, and that's take a lot of energy, and a lot of planning, and a lot of teamwork. And that cannot be goes as a one-person deal. It's not a one-person deal. It's the whole entire team working together. That's the first battleground. But to make sure, to ensure that the team are on the same page with you to do all of that, that's a very, very difficult battleground. There's always an upsurge somewhere going on. So to be able to hold down that battlefront, that's one. But that one is one like everyone else. The second is institution to institution. Another ministry. Our purview will always going to overlap somewhere. Somebody's job is going to overlap somewhere. I'm sure in your organization, similarly, no matter you're in management level or whatever level, there's tend to be somebody else's job doing your job when they should be doing your job. Or their job is, you're overstepping their jobs or responsibility or roles. There's always something like that. It's a main conflict to be able to manage so that institution to institution are also coexist peacefully. So we're not working completely in silo, but also across the line to fully engage. And the third battleground for me, of course, is being on the international stage. Being the Minister of Commerce, meaning that half of my time is traveling abroad. So I said, There's a different battleground out there. You're going out there to defend, you go out there to represent, make sure you do it right. You know, it's very important to be understand. So it's something, that's why, you know, like say today, I would rather come from the heart. You know, I don't want to be here. Thank you, Your Excellency, for not asking too many policy levels, because I love to share that, but they're boring. Boring. You know, policies are boring. And policies are absolutely boring to explain and elaborate on. So I'd rather touch upon what makes us all human at the end of the day. You know, and what makes us go home. For me, that third battleground is some things that hard-earned as well. Very much hard-earned. You know, it's to be able to, you know, that respect that I just spoke of earlier. You know, one thing you do so in your home country, in your own institution, but try and do that when you're outside. You know, outside of your own comfort zone. How does that work out? So that is the battleground. But the fourth battleground that I just mentioned earlier that other ministers does not have, without being I'm a woman. I'm a mother. I am a daughter, you know? And so that's the roles and responsibility that we have. So how do I do that? But to my very own surprise, that's the one battleground that I thought I'm fighting on a losing end. From the very beginning, that's what I thought. And I thought wrong. Because that was exactly the soft power that put me at the top today. So, I'm not trying to be arrogant about this. It's something to you know, I wish to share that it was to know that it is your weakness, that they expect you as a woman to not, you know, rising fast, not doing much, or underestimate just because I appear young. I'm not that young. I just appear young. But thank you. We are 18 plus 20-something years experience, right? So that being said, it's but you know, it's important that we do know that that's the vulnerability, the disadvantage that we know what we're walking into is what I can turn into my advantage instead. Because now I can steer and command the ship, knowing what kind of battle I'm walking into. I have a battle plan laid out, so I wish to share that to the next generations that when you wish to do something, or whether you're in business already like you are to here today, you know, whatever the next step you're going to take, be very diligent about it. Plan it out, work it out, and remember, whatever decision you make, don't regret it. Make peace with yourself first. Otherwise, we are going to hate ourselves more than anyone is going to hate us. I've been there. I don't want to hate me. Very much. Because anyone else could hate you, point fingers at you, it doesn't hurt as much as you point finger at yourself and hate yourself. So,
thank you, Excellency. We invite Excellency Roro as well to give your advice.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so honorable minister, so you mentioned about, you know, a message for the youth, really. We have a young and thriving population, perhaps in the ASEAN region. In Indonesia alone, more than 50% of our population are of the Gen Z and millennial category, so we're very young, young demographic. But all in all, I think one of the things that I'd like to share to the youth, maybe perhaps including myself, I feel like I should be talking to myself too in this regard, is that, you know, utilize your time well, be brave, network, because the more people you know, the more people you engage with, the more opportunities will open for you. And also be relentless, keep trying, don't give up too easily. I think the problem in today's generation, because everything is very instant, right? In this digital generation where perhaps, especially most of you perhaps are on social media, whether it be in Instagram, TikTok, or any of these, you know, mediums, And a lot of the youth project their identity and self-worth through these platforms. How many likes, how often, and things like that. And because of this generation in which is very much gratified by instant gratification back into that space, we lose sight of the fact that in life, we will face failures, we will face successes, and this is all a part of the journey. And sometimes in the Asian culture, in the Indonesian culture even, is that when we talk about our failures, it is as if it defines our self-worth, right? But when we speak to, I have colleagues perhaps, because I went to university in the UK and had some experiences in the US, most of the professors would say that, you know, failure is just a part of the journey. And they are taught to value failure as part of the success or the future success. And so understanding as young people in which life will present itself, success stories and failures, and the need to keep getting back up when we do face those failures. And that kind of mentality is what makes us stronger, right? And be able to contribute even more to the development of a country or a region, etc. I was elected as member of parliament at the age of 25. And the youngest at the time, so this was 5-6 years ago, the youngest at the time was 23 years old. And we had around 40 young parliamentarians under the age of 40 last term. And during that time, I think it presents itself some challenges. I really like what you said, Honorable Minister, when you speak about the fact that, what was it, respect. Yeah, you spoke about respect, how respect is earned and not given. So sometimes people would assume that after becoming, or elected or being in office, you immediately get that respect. But actually, as a young person, you face a lot of challenges. People will see you as somebody who is inexperienced, who doesn't know much about the world or the country in itself, and because of this lack of experience, therefore, is unable to fully participate in the decision-making process, or the makings of policies, etc. And so sometimes I prefer to take myself out of the cultural kind of stigmatization of the fact that I am young and even that I am a woman. But how can we value somebody not only based on what role they are in, but also the contribution that they are able to make irrespective of their age and of their gender. So this is, thank you. This is when you look at the quality, right? You start valuing people for the quality, for the impact that they're able to bring to the world, to the nation, to the community. And when you value people based on those qualities, you see the world differently. You don't judge people based on those, again, stigmatization, but really on the impact. And I think this is also a message that I'd like to share to perhaps young people who are in the professional setting, who are, in the government, who are parliamentarians, is to keep going despite these stigmatization that is given to you. But then use this as a motivation to prove that you are capable, but to also prove that you are able to lead, not only with example, but with empathy, with the heart, and with purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Esti. Wei Wei.
I would say to the next generation of aspiring females, if you want to make a difference, stay the course and pave the way for the next generation of leaders after you, as those before us have paved the way for us. And I've learned in recent years some two skills or traits that I am still mastering myself, that I feel is important for a leader to have today, from my perspective, yeah? you want to drive transformation, having good intention, passion and energy alone is not enough. I feel and I've learned that you need to have agility and grit. What do I mean? Agility here doesn't just mean the ability to adapt to change. That to me is given for any leader to have to master. Agility to me means the ability to bounce back from setbacks. And the higher you go, the ability to be willing to unlearn and relearn, even as uncomfortable it may be. And why grit? Grit goes hand in hand because grit is the ability to stay the course on the mission you have set off. The mission doesn't change, but the approach may have to change depending whatever those obstacles are. So you can't need courage and resolve to do it. So I would say to young aspirational females, stay the course, pave the way for the next generation after you. You have to stay in it for them to rise. And think about what I'm sharing, grit and agility. These are good skills to have, carry you a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, they said that it's time for them to ask me a question. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, and I have to go back to the ASEAN summit.
We have 12 minutes.
Okay, then as usual, you know, I'm also a husband and a son. Sorry, my father.
I'm sorry, unfortunately, Jack, I would love to help you, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. It's okay. That's the difference between men and women. Alright. So back to what I said, yeah, I'm also a father, husband, loving husband, and also a son, yes. So I will agree for one question. Can you also discuss this? What do you mean? One is not three. Okay, go ahead. Yes, Susie.
Okay. Well, okay. One question that kind of popped into mind, Honourable Minister. Firstly, I'd like to commend on your contribution so far for chairing the ASEAN. I think you've done an incredible job. I really speak that with good intent, and I've seen you in so many different stages, and you're able to moderate very well and chair very well. So I'd like to appreciate you for that, firstly. Secondly, I think one of the questions that I've had is, what is your perspective on women who are perhaps like us, right? And what would be your advice for people like us to keep going and to keep thriving? And also lastly is, how do you as a person, you know, manage and balance your multiple roles that you've had? As you said, you are a father, you're also a son, and a husband, of course. A lovely husband. Yes. Thank you, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, this is a very difficult question. My wife is not in the audience, so I think I can speak freely. So, on a serious note, again, I would say thank you for sharing with the audience. And for me, I have the greatest respect for women like yourselves, right? And I've, you know, throughout my career, before becoming a politician, before serving the government, like the way I've been in the corporate sector, and I've seen how difficult and challenging it can be for women in the corporate sector. And now, of course, as a politician, you know, as both of you are, especially you, Roro, you've seen as well how difficult it is. In fact, in many fields, it is always more challenging, in my view. And I think this is all real life stories that we've heard from many friends. So for you both, all three of you to be where you are today, it's, to me, incredible and showing great determination and passion. Of course, three great husbands supporting you all the way. That's the thing. Yeah. I think three things if I want to share with the audience. I think one, you know, you need to have a partnership. I think a partnership with your family, partnership with your colleagues. So these are the close people around you that will be with you, whether you are in difficult times or in good times, especially when you're in difficult times. And I feel that women like you and even friends of mine who have been successful always have these people that they can trust with them, right? And I think this, I believe, is one of the reasons why three of you are where you are today. You've always got people that you can count on, right? Not just your husbands, but also your friends, people that you are close to, people you grew up with, people you can trust. And number two, I think it's basically what you said, it's about determination. And I've seen the determination, fearless determination, where you are not afraid to fail, and failure is something that you learn from, not you don't give up. And this is a trait where I hope many of you in this room will have. Sometimes in our culture, failure means it's looked upon badly. Right? You know, people say, "Oh, you failed, therefore you can't do it." In fact, because you failed, I feel that you can do better next if you don't give up. Right? And this is where, again, I've seen many successful women entrepreneurs who have failed over and over again and then became successful. They didn't become successful from day one. Similarly, in many other fields. So this is, again, I've seen many of my colleagues, both now in the political world and also in the corporate world, where they have this strong faith. And I think finally, you know, it's about the belief system. Like you said, Cham, when you do something, you must believe in it and don't change your path. Right? And again, you know, when I was preparing for this session, in fact, to be honest, I've moderated many sessions, and this is one of the best sessions I've moderated. And that one, I'm telling you all the truth. And I'm sure you all felt it as well, right? So this is important, which leads to my third point, which you said, you've got to be true to yourself, right? And you believe in yourself, you know what you want, and you're true to yourself. This is what makes you who you are, and I think this is where people around you will also support you, because you cannot be someone you are not, and when people see who you really are, they will be behind you, and you see the success of this really. So now we need to run out of time, right? I've got many more questions but the three ladies gave such long answers. So we ran out of time, but on a serious note, let's give another round of applause for all three of them. All right. Yes. The organizer, please invite us again, right? Especially if you want the Wei Wei to pay the post. So I'll give it back to the master of ceremonies. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was an absolute rock star of a session there. A big round of applause for Her Excellency Roro, Her Excellency Cham, the very vivacious Miss Wei Wei, and of course, our thorn amongst the roses, but a worthy thorn that's very entertaining. Our favorite Tengku, Datuk, Seri, Utama, Zafrul, Aziz. Round of applause for them. It was an amazing session with so many amazing takeaways. Remember, it starts from home, making the home right. You can bring your best to work. It is about not being scared to honor your Asian roots, because respect is absolutely essential. Stand on each other's shoulders, because you know why? Girl power is real. Girl power is real. And wear multiple hats, but be dynamic enough to recognize which hat works best. Now, it's been an amazing session, and we've had so many wonderful surprises, but there is yet another surprise, I've been told. Now, I believe that Her Excellency Cham Nimul has volunteered to orchestrate this surprise along with us. So, if I can hand it over to you, Your Excellency.
I am singing.
Silakan. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you for this honor and in celebrations of women powers. Allow us to celebrate the very first one. Let's do it together. Happy to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. Selamat hari ulang tahun diucapkan kepada Dyah, Roro, Esti, Widya, Putri. Yang keberapa kita juga perlu tanya ya. But a very happy birthday to you. A very happy birthday. It's so wonderful to be able to celebrate such a happy moment with everybody here. And thank you, Your Excellency Cham, for being such an amazing sport and leading everybody singing the birthday song. What a wonderful, wonderful surprise. And now, of course, we would also like to invite Datuk Dr. Hafsa, Datuk Hazima, and Datuk Jun to please present a token of appreciation to our panelists as well as to our moderator.